This is the instructional video for the train assembly. I'm going to go to New. I'm going to select on Standard IAM. It's going to open up a new file here, and I'm going to go up to Place. Make sure this says Place and that it doesn't say any of these other ones like Place from Content Center. And with this saying Place, I'm going to grab that and I'm going to go into the train folder where all my parts are. And I'm first going to grab the train body and I'm going to click Open. I'm going to place the train with a left click, and then I'm going to right click and press OK. And my train body is now into position into my assembly. First thing that I'm going to place in here is the cow catcher. So I'm going to grab Place. I'm going to select cow catcher, Open, and I'm going to place it. I'm going to place this next to my train. I'll left click and then I'll right click OK. And what I'm going to be using for this is a constrain that is an insert. So I will select constrain and I'll select the fourth one in the row here called insert. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the back end of this peg. And I'm on the right side of the cow catcher. And I'm going to select the back end. And then I'm going to change my view. I'll go up here and click the left here. And I want to click the lower left hole on the front of the train. I will click OK. And the reason why I click OK is I want to be able to move this cow catcher a little bit. So I need to drop this down. That way I can see this hole in the train body and I can see the hole on the other, or the peg on the other side of the cow catcher. I am going to now click Constrain and I'm going to click Insert again. I'm going to click the lower right hole and then I'm going to turn my view around. So I'll click this upper right of my view cube. Or right of my view cube works better, and I'm going to grab the bottom peg on the lower left side and the back end of it, and I will click Apply. And you'll notice now that if I go to my home view, it's turned my train around. So I am going to fix that. I will go to my front and I'm going to turn this around. So I'm going to click a few things here. So right now I'm going to click on this and you'll see that I'm facing the train. And the best way to do this is if I click the workbook here. This is a look at symbol, and I'm going to grab the front of the train. You see that it orients it correctly. I'm going to right click on my view cube and I'm going to say set current view as. I'm going to click front. Then I'm going to go to the upper left corner of my view cube and I'm going to right click and I am going to set current view as home this time, and I'll say fit to view. So now when I click my home button, this is now the home view. So I'm going to right click on the train right now and I'm going to click grounded. That way the train body won't move from here on out. I'm going to then place another part. I'm going to grab the stack. I'm going to place it into my assembly. I'll right click OK. And when I constrain this, I'm going to click constrain and I'm going to click the fourth one in the column or row here that says insert. I'm going to grab the bottom of the hole on the front of the train. And then I'm going to grab the bottom of my train, or my stack. And you'll notice here that I do have the edge that has been chamfered, so I want to make sure I grab the bottom portion of that. You can see here that I now have a inserted stack. I'm going to now turn this around. I'll be looking at the back view of this. So I'm going to click the upper left corner here. And I am going to now place two objects. I need to grab both the hitch magnet and the hitch peg. To do this at the same time, I can hold Control on my keyboard, and I can select the hitch peg, and then I can grab the hitch magnet. You'll see that I don't get a preview anymore, but you'll see that both of those are blue just by holding down Control. I can click multiple ones, and I'm going to click Open. And you'll see that I can left click them, I'll right click OK, and now I have both of them in here. I'm going to do a constraint. This one again is going to be an insert constraint. I'm going to grab the top of the hitch magnet on the inner portion of the hole. Then I'm going to turn this around so that I can see the underside of my hitch peg, and I want to grab the underside of that circle. So I'll grab that and you'll see that it's inserted in there. I'm going to click Apply. I am then going to grab the underside of the hitch magnet again where it has the hole. And then I'm going to grab the hole on the back end of the train, and I'll click OK. So now if we look at our train, I have everything assembled on this except for everything that deals with the wheels. So I'm going to grab place, and I'm going to grab the wheel, and when I do this, I'm going to actually select 4 times. So I'm going to say open, and I'm going to select this 4 times. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'll right-click OK. And I'm going to constrain all 4 of these wheels at the same time. So I'll go to Insert, and I'm going to grab the back of all of these wheels. So I'm going to grab the back center portion. You want to make sure that you see that circle on the back end. And I'm going to grab the hole on my train body. And I'll click Apply, and I'll continue to do that to the other 3. Back of the wheel, move over to this side, to this hole. And what I'm doing is I'm making these concentric to one another. Concentric means that they share the same center point. You see that I will turn this train body around so that I get to the back side. Apply, and then grab the front last one. And I'll turn this around, and then finally grab the last wheel, and I'll say OK. If I go to my home view, I should see the wheels on there, and I can freely spin them. I'm now going to place 4 axle pegs. So if I select axle peg, I place this 4 times, 2, 3, 4. I'll right-click OK. And I'm going to use the same constraint with the insert. I'm going to click on the front hole this time on the wheel. And then I'm going to turn my position around, and I'm going to grab the underside of the axle peg. Apply. And then I'll do the next axle peg. And I can keep the same view that I'm on right now. Click Apply. Again, the underside of the axle peg to the inner hole on the front of the wheel. And my last axle peg. And then click Apply. Next, I'm going to place 2 linkage arms in. So I'll select the linkage arm, place 1 and 2. I'll right-click OK. I am then going to constrain, and I'm going to use an insert constraint as well. And I'm first going to select, doesn't matter, but I'm going to select the left side of my linkage arm and this back face of the hole. And I'm going to place the next constraint on the end of the smaller peg of the wheel here, so that when it attaches, this front area is flush. I'm going to click OK, because you'll notice here I want to make sure that I can move this out of the way enough so that I can get to the back side of it. So I'm going to click Constrain again. I'll click Insert, and I'm going to grab the back end of this small peg. I'll zoom out, and I'm going to turn my view around. You can see here is the back end of my linkage arm that I've been working on. I'll click that, and I'll apply. I'll go to my home view. You can see that there I have my linkage arm on. I'm going to work on this linkage arm now, so I'll turn my view. I will click the top circle hole on the linkage arm. I will click the back end of the small peg on the wheel. I will click OK. I'm just going to zoom out, and you'll see here is a perfect example for that, because it looks like it's attached, but it's not. So I'm going to drag this down, and I'm going to constrain. I'll use the insert constraint. Grab the back end of the small peg. Then I will change my view so that I can see the underside and the back of the linkage arm. And I will click OK. Going back to my home view, I am now going to place 4 linkage pegs. I'll grab the linkage peg, and I will place that 4 times. Right-click OK. And I'm going to use the same method again with the constraint and the insert constraint. And this time, I'm going to make sure that I grab the small hole that's on that small peg of the wheel. And then I'm going to turn myself around so that I get the underside of the linkage peg. I'll click Apply. I can then click the underside of the linkage peg here in the view I'm in. And I can go to the small open hole on the wheel. Apply. We'll do the same again to the front wheel. And then lastly, to the front right wheel. And I'll click OK. that is the assembly for the train. I am now going to add the assembly for the straight track. So I will place, and I will grab a straight track. I'll click OK. You'll notice that it's not in the correct orientation at all right now, but I'm going to fix that. I can right click on this and I can do a free rotate, and I will get it in the general view that I'm looking for. I can right click OK, and then I can move my part here, and you can see that it's not perfect by any means, but I do want the open end of the straight track to be on the back side of the train, and the extruded end of the straight track to be on the front. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to constrain this to the side of the train body. I'm going to click Constrain, and I'm going to click the Flush Constraint. I'm going to click the side of the train, or straight track, and I'm going to click the side profile of the train body. And I'm going to offset that by 0.7. So I'll place an offset, and if I change my view to the front here, if you'll notice, if I place a 0.7 offset, it shifts it in the wrong direction. So I need to make sure that that offset is a negative number. So you'll see here 0.7, it now makes sure that the wheel is in the center of this cutout extrusion on the straight track. I'm going to click Apply, and I'll go back to my home view. And now I need to constrain the body to the top of the straight track. So I'm going to cancel out of this so that I can move this, and I'm going to drag this down and a little bit away so that I get both faces here. I'm going to constrain, I'm going to click the top of the straight track, and I'm going to change my view so I can see under the train body. And I'm going to click this, and if I go to my front view, you'll notice that the train body is sitting on top of the straight track. And again, I need to use an offset. This time the offset is 0.4375. I'm going to click Apply. Now, what I need to do is I need to take the ground off of the train body and now add it to the straight track. So I'm going to right-click my train body, and I'm going to unclick Grounded. Then I'm going to right-click on the straight track. First I left-click, then I'm going to right-click on the straight track, and I'm going to click Grounded. Now I can move the train body back and forth. The last thing I need to do is make it look like the wheels are rotating as I move it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a motion constraint on this. I'm going to click Constraint, and I'm going to select Motion, and I'm going to grab this rotational translation type, and I'm going to first click my rotational, which is the front wheel, and then I'm going to click this front face as my transitional. So if you look up here, I have my rotational and my translation here, and what I need to do for the distance is to tell it what the overall circumference is of my wheel is. So the circumference is 7.068, and I'm going to click Apply. And now if I close out of this, you'll notice that as I turn this, the linkage arm is going to move. So as I move back and forth with my train body, you can see that the linkage arm, in fact, moves with it. And you'll notice that as I go forward, the linkage arm moves forward. Now I'm going to fix the other side so that the other side works. As you move here, you can see that the side that I did not put the motion constraint on is not working correctly. So I'm going to place this to the point where this is at the top. So I'm just going to move this right now. And I want this to work opposite of what you see here. So I'm going to place a constraint again, and I'm going to put another motion constraint on this, make sure that I pick the rotation and translation. And I'm going to pick the front wheel, front face of the track. I'm going to put in a distance this time of negative 7.068. And that's going to allow this train to work as though, to look as though it is working as it should. This is the completion of train assembly.